Dear learners, welcome. I'm Dr. Sunita Devi, Assistant Professor in Psychology. Today we will cover BPCE 145 School Counseling. Let's understand what is school counseling and why it is so important. School counseling addresses issues that may affect students' academic performance, which includes psychosocial and behavioral challenges. School counseling services are delivered by the school counselor. The importance of school counseling: it offers a community setting because when we talk about school, school is a part of community. So when we are counseling in a community setting. It acts as a protective factor for such children who may be from adverse background and environments. So when we say protective factors, these are the factors which help the children to deal with the difficult circumstances in their life. And we know that children come from diverse background and diverse environments. So they need to understand and have the skills to deal with life challenges. It offers a feeling of safety and promotes a sense of belongingness through its different activities. So, school counselors help the child to develop that sense of belongingness where he or she is studying through different activities which are conducted in the school setting. Now, when we talk about importance, school counseling, it is a system in place where we have the aim at optimal development and well-being of the child. It can be considered as a training ground for children because in school the child is not learning only about academics but also about how he can form relationship, how he can be more productive, how he can aspire for different career options, career goals, aspirations. We also train the child to prepare for successful and personal, social and vocational life ahead. What is the role of school counselor? When we talk about school counselor, they are trained professionals and have varied roles related to students' academic achievements through goal setting, individualized education plans and activities such as promotion of effective work and study habits. So when we talk about the academic achievement, we help the child how to set goals, how to have the individual education plan if we have some difficulty in learning. We also help the child to develop good study habits because many of the times children may not have good study habits. He or she may be very intellectual and he can study and he have the good intelligence and grasping power. But because of the poor study habits, they may not be able to perform well. We also teach them the memory skills, how you can memorize in a shorter period of time, how you can relate your subject to day life and can be easily understood and grasped. We also talk about career development in the school counseling as well as personal social development. So when we talk about career development, giving them the exposure, different exposure to different career options, how they can plan and how they can aspire for these different career options. When we talk about personal social development, we work as a school counselor, how they can work on their emotional intelligence, how they can build up emotional competence, how they can build social competence because they have to live and work in the social settings wherever they will go in life. So they need to have good social skills. In fact, the school counseling services aim at the overall development of children through a comprehensive guidance and counseling program. It helps them acquire effective learning skills, improve academic performance, and develop career aspirations. It facilitates in better adjustment and interpersonal skills, dealing with emotional and behavioral problems and concerns of children, and promotion of mental health and well-being. We counsel students, their families, and the community to foster growth in the student's self-esteem, and develop a good self-concept. Also, individual responsibility and in skills such as decision making, social skills, critical analysis, all these skills they learn in school setting. Now let's understand ethics in school counseling. As a school counselor, when you need to work with school teachers, school authorities, parents, and the community to create a conducive school environment at school as well as home to promote holistic growth and well being of children. We need to interact and collaborate with all the stakeholders with the main focus of promoting learning, achievement, adjustment, and well being of the students. Here, we need to understand that when you are dealing with different stakeholders, they come out with different perceptions, they have their different aspirations, they have their different desires and goals. So, as school counselor, we need to understand that you need to be strong on your ethics and deal with different issues of different stakeholders in ethical and sophisticated manner. In the process, they may face many ethical issues and dilemmas and challenges coordinating and catering to the needs of all. Because when a school teacher refers a child to you, and she will be expecting that whatever the child shares with you, you should also share with them, which is unethical. So, when we talk about ethics, we need to make sure that you keep the information confidential. You need to build the trust of the child. And if you share whatever the child has shared with you to the teacher or to the parents, the child will not come to you and will not trust. So, the therapeutic relationship before building, you can break that relationship. So, it's very, very important to understand that people will be curious that what is happening in counseling room. You know, they have their perception. They feel that school counselor is just talking and counseling can be done by anyone, which is not the case, because counseling is a professional uh, career, and you need to have the training before doing the counseling, as teachers are having the training for B.Ed or for teaching before teaching. Same way, counselors also have the training in counseling. But everyone in surroundings, they feel that anyone can do counseling, and whatever suggestion and advice they are giving, they consider that counseling. So you need to deal with these kind of dilemmas of sharing the information shared by the student very responsibly. You may face problems related to confidentiality of student information. Whatever record you will be maintaining, you have to maintain and keep it confidential. You also need to build trust with all the stakeholders to function effectively for student benefit. So when you enter in the school environment, many of the times you may feel that the school principal is not having trust on you. They will not refer you for the individual counseling. Maybe the counselor is very young, or they have a doubt that whether the counselor will be able to deal with the adolescent or not. So, building the trust of principal, teachers, administrators is also very important along with students' trust. Many a times, school counselors are also required to perform administrative tasks and other tasks such as taking substitution classes, giving tests to students, maintaining records, going for invigilation duty during the examination, assisting school principal and other teachers, which are not related to counseling. And many of the counselors feel that we are not trained for these, and they may have little apprehension doing all these kind of responsibility. So as a counselor, you need to understand that in school setting, not only the counseling, but you have to do all these kind of responsibility. Rather, you can use these kind of activities and responsibility to build a good connection and good presence of yours as school counselor in school setting. This may lead to conflict situation. Many of the times, school principal asks the counselor to take science subject, to teach mathematics, or to teach English. Then there will be a conflict, because if you are taking these role of a teacher, of a science teacher or math teacher, your role as a counselor will be affected. So you need to be very assertive here without offending the administrators. You need to convey, put forward. So assertiveness skills are also very important for here school counselors. This may lead to conflict situations and may leave the counselor too exhausted and deprived of time to focus on the main task of providing counseling support to the students. And here the role of assertiveness skill will help you to deal with this kind of exhaustion and different kind of expectations from the administration. School counselors need to know and understand the ethical issues. You have to keep your focus on the priority, which is the student. As Hugh in 1986 rightly states that the ethical responsibility is the client first and the school or other setting is the second. So your first responsibility is towards the student or the client, and the second comes the school or administration. Many of the times in boarding schools, in residential settings, children may face this issue that they cannot trust counselor because they feel that their information which is shared is leaked or is shared to other people. So you need to maintain that. Many of the times you may not disclose the information to the teachers, but their friends may disclose the information. Again, the child will have loss of trust in you. So all these points you need to keep in mind when you work in the school situation. Thus, protecting the rights of the student is the utmost importance when you deal with the students in the school setting, and this is your first task. So whenever you face any dilemma or any conflictory situation, the first thing you have to keep in mind is that you have to protect the right of the student, and the right of the student is to keep the information safe, secure, make him have that trust, build that sense of belongingness, and if he or she does anything which is violating the school norms and all, then in that case we have to convey to the students that why disclosing the information to the authority is important, because this is harming to the other people or the property, or it is harming to you. So whenever the child coming to you for counseling, you need to understand that you need to convey that only in two conditions we cannot keep the information confidential, that is when you are harming yourself or when there is a threat to other person's life or their property. Let's understand ethics in school counseling. Why these are so important? We have to be cautious about ethical issues in emerging use of online medium for counseling. Let's understand the importance of online medium in our students' life. Nowadays, students are interacting more online rather than face to face. Students need to understand the cautious use of online medium. As counselors, you also need to understand that technology may facilitate online counseling, but it has many pitfalls. Also, that one needs to be aware of. Client information needs to be protected in the online media. The National Policy of Education in 1986 highlight the scope of school counseling and the need of guidance for school students. In National Curriculum for School Education, which is NCF 2005, advocated the adoption of a guidance philosophy to education which facilitates taking a proactive and preventive approach for personal, social, emotional, and cognitive development of all at each stages, which are elementary level, secondary level, senior secondary level. Recently, National Policy on Education 2020 also has ushered in many major changes in the field of education in India. It has put emphasis on monitoring the mental health and well-being of students as part of regular mental health checkup, because students' physical health make them healthy. Also, mental health is very important for the child to focus on the learning and the emotional and social development. The schools need to take up the responsibility of making school counseling as an integral part of school system and the culture. Now, let's understand what are the main aims of counseling at elementary stage of education. We know that children are making the transition from their safe environment from home to the school, which is more threatening maybe for a 3 or 4-year-old child. So the counselor helps in smooth transition of children from home to school. The role of school counselor is also to see that dropouts should be less and we should prevent dropouts. Students drop out because of many reasons. So school counselor needs to find out reason for dropout and try to minimize these. We have to provide assistance and support to children from disadvantaged backgrounds. Children are coming from different disadvantaged backgrounds, maybe socioeconomic status, maybe the language barriers, maybe different religion, different regions, different learning disabilities, different kind of issues which they may face at home, emotional issues or social issues. So it is important for school counselors to help these children to cope up and adjust well in the school setting. It is also important for school counselor to help children with special needs learn and adjust to the school environment, and not only to help the children but as well as teachers and facilitators so that they can accommodate these children in the normal school. We also need to facilitate acquisition of basic learning skills, reading, writing, mathematics, effective interpersonal relationship with the peers and teachers, because these is going to affect the child's interaction with the teacher as well as the peer. Now, counseling at elementary stage of education. They have to have effective interpersonal relationship with the teachers and peers. We also focus on preventing and dealing with behavioral problems in children, because prevention is always better than cure. So if you can identify difficult issues early in the childhood, then you can work in much better way. Interventions can be easy and smooth. School counselors also help in developing healthy self-esteem in the child, building the healthy perception and attitude towards others, and not only towards others but healthy perception and attitude towards self, others, environment, and towards learning. They also help in learning different life skills such as self-awareness, decision making, handling emotions, handling stress in life, how to think critically, how to deal effectively with the life difficult circumstances, how to make better decisions. They also make them aware about the world of work, because career counseling should not start in the senior classes. It should be started in early classes as well. They need to be aware about different kind of career options and the work. Counselors in the secondary stage of education can help students to adjust with the sudden changes in their physical growth and development. We all know that puberty is a time of stress and challenges. There are lots of changes happening in physical as well as social and emotional areas or domains of the child, which the child needs to be aware and be prepared. School counselor can help them deal with the emotional changes during this transitional phase. It also can help in forming a healthy peer relationship, because peer relationship can be productive. They can also help in a positive way. Peer influence is always not negative, it can be positive. School counselor also help in adjusting to the academic pressure which most of the senior students face, because they have to prepare themselves for the competitive examination. They have to prepare themselves for the change which happens from the school to the colleges. They have to search for different universities, different courses themselves. School counselor can help and facilitate the relationship between the student and the parents and teachers as well. Because if the relationship of the student is good with the parents and teachers, they can perform better not only in academics but different areas of their life. School counseling helps them understand and develop their assets and strengths because we keep on focusing what child is not doing. He is not good in this, she is not good in that. Instead of that, we should develop their assets and strength and give them the awareness that how they can use these assets and strengths to be more productive and happy and healthy adolescent and adult in later life. Now, let's understand how the school counseling can help students at higher secondary stage. During higher secondary stage, they have to deal with academic pressures to get good marks and pass successfully. Getting into good colleges and courses of study is again a major concern during this stage of student's life. Enhancing self understanding in terms of one's interest, aptitude, attitudes, and abilities. Many of the children decide about the career based on what is available in the market. They ask the question, what is the scope, which is more beneficial. So we always ask the school counselors to help them understand the self. So explore self before exploring the outside world, and that will help them to have a better career option. School counseling also helps in developing career maturity and making realistic career choices in their life. School counselor can help in children learn to handle negative peer pressure. Whether we accept it or not, in life we all go through with the peer pressure. Even as an adult, we have so much of peer pressure. So think about these students who go lots of peer pressure, parental pressure, teachers pressure. So school counselor can help children to deal effectively with these kind of pressures and motivate themselves. School counselor also help children to understand different ways to cope with stress and ensure their good mental health. They also help to understand how we can learn appropriate sex role and responsibility and develop healthy relationship with opposite gender and the sex, because many of the times our parents and the teachers may not be able to teach us how we have to deal with opposite gender. So it's very important to understand that this is the basic need, because we have to deal with opposite gender all through our life. So children should be comfortable in dealing with opposite gender at this particular age. We also need to work on preventing bullying in the school. Substance use, interpersonal conflicts with peer, parents, teachers, school authorities. They also need to help to create life goals and visions, because if they have life goals and visions, they will be motivated and encouraged to perform and do better in their life. Without life goal and vision, they will be demotivated. Let's understand the need for guidance and counseling, and it focuses on mental health and all around development of school children, which has always been recognized and emphasized at the policy level. This is a high time we focus on the importance of understanding and execution of school counseling services. Now let's sum up what we have discussed and understood in this video. We have discussed the role of school counselor. What is school counselor? What are the role and responsibility of school counselor? And there are different level of stages in the school counseling, like elementary, middle, secondary, senior secondary, and how the school counselor can help the children to deal with the different issues at these different stages of schooling and their life. We also have seen the importance of school counseling and guidance services in different policies, which we have seen in 1986 National Policy of Education. We have seen NEP 2020, which they all talk about. CBSE has also made it mandatory for every school to have a counselor. So, understanding and education of school counseling services in India is very important, and it's a high time that we focus on mental health of our students because they are the future of our country. Thank you.